Alright, this is Chapter 3, Part 4 I'm going to talk to you about. So, as we move through this, I don't want to get ahead of myself. I want to parallel with the book and the notes and this thing and not rush you through this thing right now with it. But here's another slide I need for you to know. This last slide right here. The test question I'm going to ask you is, the attribute are then accessed by the method within the class. You've got to know that, okay? So, and these top two bullets here, the data elements of a class defined by the object can be instantiated by the class. So when you instantiate a class, you create the object. The second bullet is that the attribute must be specific to the class and define it completely with this thing. So these three bullets, that the first two and the fourth one, you need to know. This is what I mentioned to you earlier, the way how this is a test question. You need to know the slide, data hiding. Another aspect of encapsulation is with the concept of data hiding. Classes should not only be self-contained, but they also be self-governing as well. Classes use the private, this is the test question, the private access modifier on the field to hide them from other classes. Classes need methods to allow access and modification of the class data. Okay, so what is a method? And methods are what I call as members, and they're mutators and they're assessors with it. So in the method, this is the syntax of the class method defined by the action that the instance of that class can perform. So the class methods that you define in your class, you have multiple sub methods at the third row of this thing. If you recall, going back to this slide, these are the methods that at the bottom here we're talking about. These are the same methods that I'm going to talk to you right now. Inside this methods, they're bodies, they're multiple statements that you can actually do. Methods that need to be used by other classes should be made public. So all methods are made public. Fields or attributes are private. Make sure you keep that straight, because that's very important. The attributes of the class might need to be changed, accessed, or calculated. So anything that changes what? Write to. What I said right was set, right? Access, what? Read, basically. So we call these things are setters and getters. I keep on going this over and over with you with it, or you can do some sort of calculation. So if it's a calculation, you're going to do setters, right? So this is something that you write to it, right? The methods that change and access attribute are called assessors and mutators. Okay, here it is. You gotta know this. This is a test question. The method that change and access the attribute are called assessors and mutators, right? So you have assessor, it does what? That accesses, that reads it, okay, with it. So that they're just things that you read to. Mutators are what you write to, okay, that you do setting. Mutators and setters. Assessors and getters, okay, assessors and getters, okay. Keep that straight for me, okay. Coming down here, I want to make sure I don't want to go over time here. Here's the next slide: assessors and mutators. Because the concept data hiding, the fields or classes are private. Like I said, all the fields or attributes in that second row. What am I referring to? In the UML, anything that's in here, this right here, attributes or row here, all that is considered as private. All right, so make sure you keep that straight with it as well with it. So the methods that retrieve the data from the fields are called assessors. Retrieve, read. That's what I mean. The method that modifies the data from the field called mutators. Setters, you write to. Okay, mutators, setters, you write to. Assessors, what are assessor? Read. Assessors. So both of these are made up by members. Assessor and mutators are considered as members of your methods with it. All right. Each field that the program wishes to be viewed by other classes are needed as assessors. So view, read, that type of stuff. Each field that the program wishes to modify by the other classes are mutators. Again, modify, write. and you call those mutators. Mutators are setters. Assessor are getters. Okay, and I can't stress enough with that. Let me just clarify that. And a lot of things that I keep on repeating myself, and not that I don't want you to miss this, but again, assessors. So we talk about in here assessors. So things, when I say assessors, are what? Things that are either setters or getters. Getters. Okay, or another word for that is you're going to read. Okay, if I mean mutators, what do I mean by that? They're setters. Another one is now just to write to, make changes to. Okay, so I mean, if you keep this right here, this will get you so far. All right, with this concept that I shared with you, and keeping it with all the methods that we're going to talk about in here. So so make sure you understand this right here. I would definitely want you to understand this, because before we get to chapter 6, this is going to be very, very, very important. Okay, for example, in the example, we're looking at the version phase 2 on page 139. All right, it's going to talk about the set length, set width. Okay, get length, get width on this thing. Other names for these mutators are getters and setters. Here we go. Here we go. So when you look at your first one, this is your phase 1. I'm not going to open that up again. I'm going to do this one we just did. I want to pause here a second so I can find this thing. Okay, so I found the phase 2. Let me just put both of them up here so you can see what I'm talking about. The left one is the phase 1. Hasn't changed. We just added more methods to this thing, as you can see. And what we've added is besides the set length, both of you set length, this is the only one that's new lines in here. It's this part right here. So we do a set width in here. All right. This is the phase 2 where you actually assign. This is the parameter or argument that you're assigning that belongs to the right side of the equal sign, and your field, this width right here, is this width right here. So this W is your parameter. It has to be something different. You can't use width in here again. You can't, because you will have an error if you did the word width, the same as your field. It has to be something different. You can call it anything else with it. So this width belongs to the right hand side and is assigned to the field. So the equal sign in programming means what? Right side equals to the left side. Remember that? So here we go. So we have something that is actually doable, that you can actually set. Both of these are setters. What are setters again? You write to the length, you get right to the width to it. Now, keeping those definitions straight. Okay, but there's no need for me to do the phase 2 here. And there, let me just move this over. Here's phase 2 in this thing. And as we go through this, you do the set width, set length, a lot of the stuff with. I want to pull up the version 3. Version 3 is on page 141. Version 3 is on page 141. Let me pause this for a second.